I welcome you, dear viewer, on this search for the Anti-Micro-Otics geocache hidden in MOSMAN Park. Join Peter Baird and myself, Don Pugh, on our search for this hidden treasure. Geocaching is a worldwide sport. Lunchboxes full of prizes are hidden, and longitude and latitude and other information is provided on the internet. You can look up the locations of these hidden lunchboxes on the net, and then you go out with a GPS or direction finding equipment to find them. I looked up the site closest to my home in Peppermint Grove, and it's the Micro-Otics site. It's about 2 kilometers distance. I read about it that it's a 2-liter plastic container in a plastic garbage bag. The idea is that you find it, take an item out, add an item yourself, and fill out the log in the lunchbox. Well, the area does need some tender loving care. It's an interesting historical site, and you should take a few minutes to walk around the big structure to look at the views, the city and coastline. A nearby structure is a lighthouse. The internet also shows the longitude and latitude on a map run by Google Maps. So I look up the site. We can see that it's between the Indian Ocean and the Swan River. I zoom on the map and I can see it's right against the fence, apparently, of a large, what looks like a warehouse or some sort of building, which is situated, strangely enough, in the midst of a big park. There's also a log on the net of other people who found this site, and when you find it, the idea is you add a log entry and make a few comments. There's a graph on the web of the number of people who found this particular site. It's averaging 2 to 3 hits almost every month. Peter's quite excited by the site because he grew up in the area. In fact, within a few 100 meters. We look up the information on the web.
We're rolling.
My name's Don Pugh. I want to introduce a friend of mine, Peter Baird. Peter and I shortly are going geocaching, looking for hidden treasure in MOSMAN Park. But first, I want to have a little discussion with Peter. I know Peter grew up in the MOSMAN Park area, so he knows quite a bit about the local history. He really knows the area as the palm of his hand. Peter, I know you grew up in the MOSMAN Park area. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about your early history in MOSMAN Park.
Yeah. I was born in Hillcrest Hospital, North Fremantle, in 1958, and was taken home to Perth Street, Cottesloe. And not long after that, we moved to Jamison Street. At that time, it was number 1 Jamison Street, on the corner of Manning Street. But it is now, I think, number 25, because the bottom half of Jamison Street was originally called Calero Street. So the numbering was changed once they incorporated the lower end of Jamison Street with the rest of it. In about 1960 something, we moved just around the corner to Beagle Street, number 13. And I spent most of my childhood in that house. and basically roam the area, the Monument Hill, the Harley Scramble as it was then, around the superworks and the rubbish dump, and along the river there where the sugar works used to stand, and around past Chipley Point Golf Course. That was our stamping ground, and we rode our push bikes all over there and basically explored the whole landscape.
So I know we're going to Monument Hill, the geocache is in that area. Did you do some exploration around Monument Hill?
Yeah, Monument Hill. When I was a kid, it was the eastern side of Monument Hill was all bushland and was originally used as the Harley Scramble track, quite famous for that. And that, about one Sunday every month, the place roared with motorbikes, and everybody would get down there and have a look. That shut down, I think, in the late 60s, at a quick guess. I was only young at the time, but I think it shut down into late 60s. But the interesting side of the Monument Hill is the western side, where there's been quite a lot of quarrying going on, and as a result of that quarrying there's still quite a lot of caves that have been exposed, particularly along a cliff face that is, I would say, has been caused by where they've quarried it out. There used to be about 3 or 4 caves along there. There was what we used to call the Skull Cave. That was the cave closest to the Boundary Road. That had a it was so called because there was a little rock formation just inside it in the shape of a skull. Then as you went along, there was what we call the Tunnel Cave. Now this had obviously been excavated out by the water supply or whoever, and it formed a tunnel from one side to the other, and on the western side of that tunnel there was a sheer drop of around about 50 feet. And so you didn't run through the tunnel, otherwise if you couldn't stop, it was curtains for you. There was quite a fertile little valley underneath, and there still is. And it's obviously still gets quite a lot of seepage down through there, so there's ferns growing there, and it's quite picturesque there. I've noticed that both the Skull Cave and the Tunnel Cave have both, the Skull Cave has been walled off by a limestone wall, and the Tunnel Cave, the eastern side of the tunnel, there's no evidence of it anymore. There appears to be a car park there. And the western side, where it opens onto the cliff face, there's quite a large steel grating preventing anybody from going anywhere near it. So then as you went further along this cliff, right at the very far end of the cliff, there's another cave. Also has a sort of a tunnel. This was by far the largest cave of all. We call it the Cathedral Cave, because you had to climb halfway up the cliff really to get into it. But it was quite a deep cave, and it actually has small stalactites and stuff like that in it. I've got a few photos that I've taken of myself, both inside and outside the cave, and maybe Don will include those in this video. But yeah, that cave is still there. You can still access it, both the front door and there's also a back door where the cave has gone so far in that there's another sort of an exit on the other side. What else can I tell you about it? There was an army barracks there, and also a rope works. The rope works had a very long stretching shed where they obviously used to twist the ropes, and it was possible for us kids to actually sneak inside this twisting shed or stretching shed or whatever it was called and watch the ropes being twisted. Usually it was only manned at either end, so you could get in and have a look around and get out before anybody noticed you were there.
water reservoir was there then?